The governor of Cross River State, Ayade, must be speechless right now as he waits to know his fate on Friday, when the Federal High Court in Abuja is expected to deliver judgment in a suit filed by the People's Democratic Party challenging his defection to the ruling All Progressives Congress. Already, an air of political uncertainty has befallen the state after the sack of 18 Cross River House of Assembly members and 2 House of Representatives lawmakers for defecting to the APC by the same court on Monday. Following the ruling, APC immediately applied to the court for a stay of execution and filed an appeal at the appellate court seeking a reversal of the judgment. But this did not stop the Nigerian police force from blocking all entrances into the State House of Assembly complex in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, on Tuesday. Now joining us from Abuja to bring us up to date on unfolding political developments in Cross River State is Alphonsus Ogar Eba, Cross River APC Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Eba, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning, Nigerians. Thanks. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, I guess it's pointless to ask you how you feel about the sack of 18 lawmakers and 2 members of the House of Reps from your party, who left the PDP, to which all of you belonged, and joined the APC. But what's the level of anxiety in Cross River State at the moment about what the court is likely to, how the court is likely to rule on Friday concerning the governor, Ayade, and his deputy?
Really, no anxiety. And believe me, no anxiety. Like I said on the first day, when the judgment at the Federal High Court came out, I said there is no cause for alarm. I am sure it was in clear misunderstanding of the facts and the law that ought to be applied in that case, which we are hopeful that the appellate court will do substantial justice, because the principle of stare decisis in law and the very people that made this principle at the apex level, this matter will graduate to that level and will only be seeing them face to face to say it is in this court that you said this, and that this case is on all fours with this. Apply this. That is our hope, and that is why there's no anxiety. And don't forget, we have a right of appeal, and that is what we have exercised. Thank you.
Well, you certainly look very confident, Mr. Eba, but I want your response to the fact that Justice Taiwo rejected APC's claim that those lawmakers had not become registered members of the party. He seemed to find this argument quite disingenuous, saying that they were members of APC. You don't decamp from one party into a vacuum. You decamp into another party, and that they had been accepted by you. Are they registered members of APC?
No. Let me answer you this way, and let me compartmentalize the fact from the law. What is the fact? The fact is that from 2020, when the Northern Senatorial District became vacant, a whole lot of political chicanery took place in the PDP. The ward congresses, the chapter congresses that had been conducted within the period of the COVID lockdown, some persons in the NWC went nicodemously to change the list of the party, and that brought serious division into the party. All through that process, the matter proceeded to the Supreme Court. On the 6th day of January 2021, the Supreme Court held that there was proper division as to issue of list of the ward and chapter ESCO. But on the basis of which the party was in court, it had become an academic exercise. That judgment of the Supreme Court is a living judgment, and the law is settled. No fact of which the court shall take judicial notice need to be proved. But don't forget, what was the genesis to that? The genesis to that was that Prince Uche Secondus the national chairman of the party, saw the illegality, saw the criminality and fraud, and said he was going to stand by what was the truth. But we discovered that some members of the NWC were being controlled by the Governor General of PDP. And what happened? There became a very sharp division. That division continued from that August 2024. On the 4th day of September, from Port Harcourt, a funny judgment came, bringing one Jarigbe Agom that had been disqualified from participating in that primaries, which was to take place on the 5th. But the panel that went to that election still allowed the process to go, and the young man lost. Even when he lost, and the Federal High Court in Calabar and the Court of Appeal found judgment in favor of Senator Dr. Stephen Ode, the young man again nicodemously and criminally went to Abuja State High Court and instituted a matter by one of his cronies called John Alaga. And today, funny a thing, that young man sits in the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in utmost disregard to Section 141 of the Electoral Act and Section 285, subsection 13, by not going through all the stages of the election. These are the facts that you need to understand. But what was APC and the lawmakers saying in court before Justice Taiwo Taiwo? He said, during the pendency of this matter, by this sharp division, a body of the factionalized PDP expelled us from the party, and we became handicapped. We had nowhere to go to. So it is not as if we defected. It was not our desire to leave the party. But because we were expelled, the only place we could find succor was a willing APC that provided that resplendent ambience for us. And so they came into that. And that document, because it is an originating summons, there was an affidavit that was not controverted. And the law is settled. Where there is no controversy to an affidavit evidence, it is deemed and taken to be true. That is the area we say, my Lord, Justice Taiwo Taiwo perhaps did not see deeply into. But what are we to say? We are ministers in the temple of justice. Justice Taiwo Taiwo has given his judgment.
Okay.
Even though we are dissatisfied, we owe a duty to protect the court. And that is why we have taken the next step of appealing the judgment.
Mr. Alphonsus Ogar, a lot of people are saying that you bringing the Jarigbe case in is just looking for an alibi. That there were overtures made by May Malabuni to woo Governor Ayade. And we saw those meetings. And it was after those overtures were made that the governor decided to defect and the lawmakers followed him. That the case of Jarigbe was entirely different. That's what a lot of people are saying. That you're just trying to bring in this Jarigbe case as an alibi in shopping for reasons that the win of Governor Ayade was something entirely different. May Malabuni courted Governor Ayade while he courted Governor Umahi and a couple of other governors. That's the other arguments. What do you say to those arguments?
I am sure if you follow my analysis, you will see the sequence. And you will torpedo that argument of just bringing the issue of Jarigbe as an alibi, as inconsequential and of no moment. I went through a proper genetical evolution from 2020. I don't know when the cutting of May Malabuni that you just made reference to now came up. I am sure it was sometime around April and May 2021.
The cutting
but
of
don't forget, the document before the court of Justice Taiwo is to the effect that these lawmakers had been suspended from the party, has been expelled from the party. The records are there. Go and check the date. Just like you are sitting there, I don't know you and I who is older. If I was born in 1975 and you were born in 1980, I am far older than you. So the cutting by May Malabuni, yes, May Malabuni is a sharp chairman of a party. He saw that people have been expelled from PDP, and he was looking for people to bring, perhaps to convert into the party. And that is the beauty of what I love the APC. They look for assets. So they came and found people that have been expelled, and they brought them to the party. Let us face the facts, and let us also deal with the law, and bring a marriage between the fact and the law and get the result we are talking about.
So people...
Were these lawmakers expelled from the PDP? The answer is no. And I can stand before anybody to prove it. Because even at that time,
you don't need to prove it
I was the sole person that had emerged as the sole state chairman of PDP that was cleared, and I got judgment of the Court of Appeal standing. I abandoned all that because I could not live with that chicanery and the jiggery-pockery of those people.
Mr. Alphonsus, I'm not Justice Taiwo. You don't need to prove it to me. I'm just putting another side of the argument forward to you. And a lot of people are saying that
Thank you.
This is just an alibi. So maybe when you get to court, you prove it to Justice Taiwo, not me. I don't have a dog in this fight.
Okay, Mr. Eba, let's go back to some of the things you said earlier. When you referred to Jarigbe, you said he acted nicodemously and criminally. When did it become a criminal offense to go to court on any other matter? Is it not the duty of the court to determine the merit of your presentation? I don't think that that was a fair comment, because you can't say somebody going to court was engaged in an act of criminality. That's the first one. Two, are you telling us that Justice Taiwo arrived at his ruling in error? Because some of the issues you have raised here at length, your point about division being in the party, that was one of the two preliminary objections that the APC put up in court. One, that there was division within the party, and the judge said no, they couldn't prove that because there was no defection. Now here on television, you are restating the case. The second objection that was raised was jurisdiction, and he also dismissed that and said there was no jurisdiction. But beyond the law, you can, all of that can be pursued at the appellate level. There was a point that he made that, look, within the purview of Section 221, the vehicle that brought you to power, you cannot jump out of that vehicle and say you are going to another vehicle. That in itself is a moral question. It's an abuse of trust of the electorate. And earlier this morning, I cited the example of Abubakar Rimi in the Second Republic. When he decided to leave the PRP, he resigned his position and moved to another political party. So there's also the question of morality. But you are saying that it doesn't matter. A politician can move from one party to the other, and that the electorate who voted for a particular platform within the purview of Section 221 do not matter at all. What's your response to all of this?
First, let me answer by going back. I would not just sit on this television. I am a lawyer, and I know the boundary of defamation. The word I used, nicodemously and criminally, I stand by it. Because one John Alaga came to institute a matter in Abuja High Court when the matter was already pending in the Federal High Court, Calabar. But let me come straight to your question. The issue of jurisdiction that we have talked about is a settled matter. In the case of Melantaki versus Tongo, in a case where somebody left Gombe State and came to Abuja to file a matter, the Supreme Court by Justice Onogen, Justice Eko, Justice, a whole lot of justice I cannot even call, Kukurekun and the rest, have settled that matter. I'm sure when we go before them, like I have said, we will draw attention today. That amounted to complete fair hearing denial, because we have said you have no jurisdiction. We stood by you and you said you have jurisdiction. The appellate court will settle that. That is the law. Let me come back again to the issue of division. The law is very settled. Read section 68, subsection 1, paragraph G. Read section 109, subsection 1, paragraph G. But let me emphasize on the proviso there. The proviso to those laws is that if there is division in your party, you are free to move. That is a legally excusable position that justified movement on the second leg after they were expelled. And the court has found favor in their judgment to say, because votes that we are talking about do not belong to the party. And don't get me wrong, Amechi versus INEC that was decided in 2007 is no longer the law. Faleke case is no longer the law. The law as it stands today is the decision of APC versus Senator Marafa, which was decided only 2 years ago. And it talks about votes belonging to the candidates. That was why when they said APC had no candidate in Zamfara states, the votes that were ascribed to that candidate to have won election was taken to another party. If it belongs to the party, it would have been given to another candidate, still from APC. Don't forget the case of David Lyon. His deputy was alleged to have come with falsified documents. If those votes are not meant to be for candidate in his party, they would have told David Lyon, an innocent person, to go and bring another deputy. So let us get the position of the law and marry them to the facts that exist. I am happy, I am unperturbed because I am a lawyer of about 16 years standing. Even though I have left practice for 7 years, the law has not left me. And I know that I am joining in that and will go before the Supreme Court. Thank God we have exercised our right of appeal. And the Court of Appeal will hear us. From the Court of Appeal, we'll get to Supreme Court. I'm interested in expounding the jurisprudence of law, which I'll be returning back to practice. So to me, it is novel. And the issue of saying that judgment is coming on Friday, we are also not bothered. It can go anywhere, but we know we have our right of appeal. There is no way that the clear provision of the law will not be adhered to, because lex rata and not lex frada, the law as it is and not the law as it ought to be, is the jurisprudence of law.
Right, I want to talk to you now.
That sounds very familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I want to talk to you now about the zoning issue that's arisen in Cross River State, which is just, it's all over the country, at the national level, sub-national level. There's some people who are resisting attempts by Governor Ayade to zone the governorship in 2023 to the Southern Senatorial District. His claim is that that is one part of Cross River that has so far not enjoyed a bite of the cherry, but some think it should be thrown open. You are on the side of zoning. How do you justify this? How will you convince those who think that the race should be thrown open, that, to see it from your point of view? You're talking about equity.
Yes, it was on the 16th day of December, 2021, while we were receiving some 3 political assets from the PDP into APC, that the governor was asked the question where he would love to zone to, and he was also quoted to have said that in 2019, you had said after your 4 years, you were going to zone to the Southern Senatorial District. And a man of fidelity, he stood by his word. As a man of integrity, he said, yes, I said so. And the reason for that is because I feel that Governor Donald Duke was governor from the South. Later on, Governor Leah Limoke became governor. And then I am now governor. My tenure will be expiring on May 29, 2023. To me, the zone that started, let this rotation go back and start like that. This issue of zoning is actually not a problem for us in APC. It is a problem that exists in the opposition party, particularly in the PDP. However, in recent time, we have also listened to the ambivalence of some members of our party, like a meeting that was held by some gladiators in the Central Senatorial District a few weeks ago. I had the privilege of inviting them, and they told me that we are thinking of a winning strategy. Mr. Chairman, we want you to open your heart and look at it. And I told them, as Alphonsus Ogar Eba, not as state chairman of APC, I believe that what is fair is that the governorship should move to the Southern Senatorial District. But as chairman of APC, that have taken an oath not to allow my personal interest conflict with the general good, except that general good is for the common good, I will listen to you. I will ensure that after the National Convention, we shall convene local government caucuses and aggregate their opinion And at the end of the day, at the state caucus, we will sit down and look at it. The view that the governor have said, we will put it on the table. My own personal view, I will put on the table. The views of every member of APC will be brought to the table. And by the special grace of God, and do not forget, I am the first political evangelist. I carry the anointing of God. I will listen to the people, and whatever they say, the preponderance of that opinion is what I am going to lay my decision on, not minding whether it conflicts with my personal opinion.
Okay, Mr. Alphonsus Ogar Eba, please confirm this for me. Just after Governor Ayade defected, we had him here on the show, and we interviewed him, and we asked him, why did he defect to the APC? He said, those were his words, not mine, because he wanted to join President Muhammadu Buhari to build Nigeria and do a lot for the upliftment of Nigeria. He never, and you can ask for the transcript of that interview or get it on YouTube, he never, I repeat, said anything about the divisions in the APC. Your response?
That is what the governor expressed to you. But the implied underlining issue is what I have explained to you. Don't forget, the governor is such a matured, civilized person that at every point in time you ask him a question, whether he bears any grudge against the PDP. He sits down to tell you that the party that gave him opportunity to be a senator, the party that gave him opportunity to be a governor, the party that did this and did that for him, he will never come openly to say anything against them. That is by the training and exposure and ethical politics of Governor Ben Ayade. I am of a different realm. I started as an infant activist. I became a youth activist. I became a student activist. I became a judicial activist. I'm now a political activist. In activism, I say things the way they are. Like Senator Dino Belaye have said, if you speak the truth, you will die. If you tell lies, you will die. It is better to speak the truth and be killed. And that is why you will be seeing my voice very strong on very serious national issues in APC at the state level or at the national level. And that is why I have woken up to say that the APC must wake up. They must bury their divisive interests and stop the judicialization of our politics, because it is taking us somewhere.
Well, I guess it would be correct to call you activist evangelist Eba. Anyway, Mr. Eba, for sure.
And you'll be very correct, because I'm a 5-star general through the rank of activism.
Okay, General Eba. Anyway, quickly, let me ask you. I raised a question earlier on about morality, which was also the question beyond law that the Court of Justice Taiwo raised. Now, I imagine that the electorate in Cross River State will be monitoring all of this, will be listening, even if they do not have a voice in the matter. Don't you think that Cross River, being traditionally a PDP state, that all of this drama going on, whether you win at the end of the day or not, may affect the fortunes of the APC in the state, particularly as some PDP chieftains in the state, are speaking up and saying that what the court has done is in order?
Yes, if you aggregate the number of PDP people that are saying that, and I agree with you, Cross River State used to be a traditional PDP state. Today, that has become a phantasmagoria. It no longer exists. We just went into a by-election. A baby that just came on board, the APC, just 9 months ago, flogged the PDP, blue, black, yellow in Ogojayala federal constituency. In the Akpabio state constituency, where there was a declaration with a margin of about 500 votes. We have already filed at the tribunal. I don't want to speak about it. You will see I will reclaim a mandate of about 1,800 and something votes that were erroneously not computed. That is the new order in Cross River State. I met APC at a total registered number of about 300,000. Today we have about 1.7 million. I only came now and took another registration material of about 1 million. Before the next 2-3 months, the registered members in APC will be about 2 point something million. APC today in Cross River State is a household name. I embark on political evangelism day and night, and I'm winning souls into the party. If you ask the electors, they will tell you that even in 2015, 2019, it was not about just PDP. It was about the person of Governor Ben Ayade, a man who was doing scholarship from his own private earning, a man who was playing and providing food bank. The first time you heard about food bank in this country was done by Governor Ayade. In 2019, when we had a challenge, even from APC and some PDP people, what did the people of Northern Senatorial District do?
Okay, Mr.
They said,
Alphonsus.
this is our son.
Mr. Alphonsus.
We must stand by him.
Mr.
And 65% of the votes that came out from that election in 2019 came from the Northern Senatorial District, where the governor and I are from. That shows you that it was about the person of Governor Ben Ayade. It was not about PDP. And that is what I want you to know.
Thank you so much for your time. We'd like to say a very big thank you for your time. Mr. Alphonsus, thank you so much for your time. That's all we can take.